At 6:03 every morning, Lara Wynne woke beside the most feared woman in the city and reached for a knife. The woman never fought back. She simply sat on the edge of the bed, dressed in black silk, and waited for Alara to notice the wedding ring on her own finger. "Who are you?" Alara whispered. "Valentina De Luca." The name meant nothing, yet the moment Valentina moved toward the door, Alara's heart panicked as if it already knew what losing her felt like. On the bedside table stood fresh white roses, 2 untouched coffees, and a note written in Alara's handwriting. "Do not trust the photographs. Do not trust the doctor. And whatever happens tonight, do not let Valentina leave before midnight." Alara looked up. The Mafia Queen was crying without making a sound. "Why can't I remember you?" Valentina's answer was almost too quiet to hear. "Because you made sure you wouldn't." That night, Alara would fall in love with her again. But this time, Valentina had already decided it would be the last. At 6:04, Valentina placed the knife on the floor between them. She had learned not to take it from Alara's hand. Sudden movement made Fia sharpen the Omega's scent, and Fia was the one thing Valentina refused to use. Outside this room, powerful alphas lowered their eyes when Valentina entered. Judges accepted her calls. Men who had built empires on blood checked beneath their cars because she had once spoken their names too softly. Inside this room, she asked permission before reaching for a glass of water. "May I?" Alara stared at her. Valentina's dark hair fell loose over one shoulder. There was a pale scar beneath her jaw and exhaustion beneath her eyes. She looked dangerous, but not surprised. That frightened Alara more than the gun resting in a holster across the room. "You expected this?" "Yes." "Have I threatened you before?" "Every morning." Alara glanced at the note. The handwriting was undeniably hers. The narrow E, the hard pressure on every final stroke. "How many mornings?" Valentina looked toward the rain tracing the window. "Enough that I know you take your coffee with cinnamon when you're scared." It was not an answer. The bedroom door opened, and an elderly beta woman entered with a silver tray. She called herself Mrs. Bell, the housekeeper, and behaved as if finding an armed stranger in Valentina's bed was ordinary. On the tray were Alara's identification, a phone without a signal, medication sealed in glass, and a small red book. Alara opened the identification first. Dr. Alara Wynne, 29, neurological chemist, registered Omega. The face was hers. The address was a research institute that had burned down 14 months earlier. She knew that fact. She remembered the institute, her childhood apartment, the professor who taught her to play chess, and the exact chemical structure of every compound she had patented. She remembered Mrs. Bell's lemon cake. She remembered the blue room downstairs and the loose stair beneath the library. She remembered everything except Valentina. Not merely meeting her, every memory in which Valentina should have existed had sealed itself around an empty space. Alara remembered attending a winter opera 2 years ago, but the seat beside her was a blur. She remembered escaping gunfire at the harbor, yet not the woman whose coat had covered her body. She remembered saying yes beneath a cathedral bell, but not the question. When she looked at her ring, nausea rolled through her. "You claim we're married?" Valentina did not claim anything. She crossed to a wall safe, entered a code Alara somehow remembered, and removed a legal certificate. Their names stood together in black ink. Alara's signature was at the bottom. "Documents can be forged," Alara said. "Yes." "Photographs can be altered." "Yes." "Then give me one reason to believe you." Valentina's eyes lifted to hers. "I won't. Belief that I demand from you is obedience, not trust." She set the certificate down and stepped away. "You may leave this house whenever you wish. The car will take you anywhere. There is money under your name, and security that answers only to you. I will not touch you without permission. I will not tell you what you felt yesterday, as if it creates a debt today." Alara's grip loosened around the sheet. "Then what do you want?" For the first time, the Queen's composure broke. "One honest day." Ask yourself what you would do with the same evidence. A stranger's name is on your marriage certificate, but your mind rejects only her. Would you stay long enough to investigate, or leave before breakfast? Remember your answer. By midnight, Alara's choice may force you to change it. Alara stayed. Not because of the certificate, not because 12 armed guards stood beyond the gates, pretending they were gardeners. She stayed because Valentina walked out of the bedroom without looking back, and some wordless part of Alara wanted to call her home. Downstairs, DeLuca House was a palace built to survive a siege. Cameras hid in carved ceilings. Steel shutters waited behind stained glass. White roses filled every room, all freshly cut, all without thorns. Alara knew the route to the kitchen. Her feet turned left before her mind chose to. Valentina sat at the far end of a long dining table, leaving 14 empty chairs between them. Is the distance necessary? Alara asked. Yesterday you preferred it. Today I don't. Valentina moved exactly 1 chair closer. That restraint became Alara's first clue. The second came when a young guard entered too quickly. Alara startled, and Valentina's alpha scent surged through the room. Cedar, smoke, and something like winter oranges. The guard froze. Every survival instinct in the house recognized a command that had not been spoken. Alara should have recoiled. Instead, the pressure behind her ribs eased. Her breathing matched Valentina's. Her pulse fell from 112 to 84. The scientist in her counted. The Omega in her hated that she had. You scent calm me, Alara said. Valentina's expression closed. Only when you are in danger. That sounds like a practiced excuse. It is a practiced promise. Alara opened the red book. The first page was blank except for a single sentence. Ask her about the white roses after sunset. The next page had been cut out. So had the one after it. Hundreds of pages were missing, sliced cleanly near the spine. Who removed these? You did, Valentina said. Why? You never told me. At 9, Dr. Mara Venn arrived to examine Alara. Mara was a beta neurologist with silver glasses and hands that never stopped moving. She asked Alara to identify faces on a tablet. Mrs. Bell, the guards, 3 politicians, 2 dead smugglers, a university friend. Alara named all of them. Then Valentina's portrait appeared. Alara knew the public facts. Valentina DeLuca, 34, head of the DeLuca syndicate, suspected of controlling half the eastern docks. No convictions. No living rivals willing to testify. But the personal recognition that should have accompanied a wife's face was absent. Mara showed another photograph. Alara stood beside Valentina in a hospital, both women bruised, their hands locked together. Alara remembered the explosion that put her there. She remembered the nurse's perfume and rain on the ambulance window. She did not remember whose fingers she had refused to release. Selective retrograde interference, Mara said. Possibly renewed during sleep. Possibly? Alara asked. You have treated me before. Mara's gaze flickered toward Valentina. Only once. Less than a second. But Alara saw it. Leave us, Alara ordered. Valentina left immediately. Mara did not. That became the third clue. Did she do this to me? Alara asked. Mara removed her glasses. Valentina has done terrible things. That is not an answer. No, it is the reason you should be careful which answer you accept. She offered Alara one of the sealed capsules. Clear shell, blue powder. Alara turned it beneath the light. A faint crystalline line ringed the center. Not damage. A second compound, heat bonded to the shell. Notice what Alara can prove so far. Documents may be forged, attraction may be engineered, and patience can disguise control. If slow burn WLW mysteries with emotional danger are your kind of story, subscribe now. The next clue will make the most reassuring person in the room look guilty. What is this? Mara's hand stopped moving. Upstairs, a clock struck 10. From inside the walls came a soft mechanical click. Every door in the house locked at once. Mara whispered, "She knows you're awake." "Who?" The lights went out before she could answer. Alara heard glass break, a muffled shot, and Mara's body strike the floor. Then cedar and winter oranges surrounded her. Valentina found Alara in the darkness without calling her name. One arm shielded Alara's head, the other fired twice toward the shattered window. A shadow dropped outside. Emergency lights flooded the study red. Mara lay beneath the desk, alive but bleeding from her temple. On the carpet beside her rested the blue capsule. Valentina crushed it beneath her heel. "That was evidence," Alara snapped. "That was poison. Mara said someone knew I was awake." "Someone always knows." Valentina touched the hidden microphone under the desk, tore it free, and held it up. Its transmitter bore a tiny silver moth. The sight struck Alara like cold water. A memory tried to rise, a white laboratory, a woman's voice, silver wings painted above a surgical chair. Then pain split the image apart. Alara staggered. Valentina caught her waist, then released her so quickly it was almost an apology. "The moth!" Alara gasped. "I know it!" Mara crawled from behind the desk. "Project Mnemosyne." Valentina's gun turned toward her. Mara lifted both hands. "If you shoot me, she loses the only physician keeping the resets from spreading." "You brought altered medicine into my home." "I brought what Sabine's courier delivered, because refusing would tell her we discovered the tracer." At last, Mara gave the enemy a name. Dr. Sabine Rook had once directed the Wynn Institute's most secret division. Publicly, she researched trauma treatment. Privately, she sold engineered memory to governments and criminal families. She believed identity was only chemistry with good publicity. Alara had been her finest scientist. And then the institute burned. "Sabine died in that fire," Alara said. "You saw a body," Mara replied. "You did not identify it." Another empty space opened in Alara's mind. She remembered smoke, alarms, a hand dragging her through a stairwell. She remembered turning back for someone, although she could not remember whom. Always the same shape missing. Valentina ordered the house searched. The dead attacker carried no identification, only a scent suppressor, and a photograph of Alara taken that morning through the bedroom window. Across the back, someone had written a time. 11:59 p.m. "What happens then?" Alara asked. Neither woman answered. That silence was answer enough. They knew something changed at night. One detail matters more than the romance right now. Someone can enter this fortress, alter Alara's medicine, and predict when her mind will change. Decide who benefits from a woman remembering the entire world except her wife. The answer waits inside a place Valentina has never willingly opened. By afternoon, rain had turned the gardens silver. Mara's scan showed no tumor, no injury, and no ordinary sedative. Instead, a thin lattice of synthetic proteins clung to receptors in Alara's hippocampus. Each dawn, rising cortisol activated them. Each evening, falling light weakened them. "So my memories return tonight?" Alara asked. Mara hesitated. "Not exactly. The lost scenes did not return as pictures. Facts remained locked. But as the compound loosened, emotional associations grew louder. Warmth without history. Grief without a face. Desire without permission from logic. "A chemical imitation of love," Alara said. Valentina stood behind the observation glass. Alara could not hear her, yet saw the words form on her lips. "Do not call it that." "Is she right?" Alara asked Mara. "Is it real?" "Pain can be stimulated with electricity. That doesn't make the pain unreal. But feeling something is not the same as choosing what it means." Alara watched Valentina turn away. At 4, she went to the library. The loose stair creaked beneath her exactly as she remembered. Behind a row of medical journals, she found a locked cabinet. Her thumb opened it. Inside lay hundreds of white paper roses. Each had been folded by hand. Dates were written beneath the petals, one day after another. Some carried a single sentence. She laughed at breakfast. She asked me to sit closer. She remembered the song, but not me. Today she said my name without fear. Alara unfolded another. Today I almost told her how tired I am. She dropped it. Valentina stood in the doorway. You said I removed the pages from the red book. You did. And you turned them into these. No, I did. The queen came no closer. You asked me not to keep a diary of what you gave me. You said tomorrow's version of you might feel watched by yesterday's, so I wrote only what I needed to survive. Alara looked at the cabinet. It was deeper than her arm could reach. How long? Valentina's jaw tightened. Please don't count them. How long have I been doing this to you? You are not doing anything to me. How long? Valentina closed her eyes. 417 mornings. The truth changed the air in the room. 417. If Valentina's restraint carries more weight than her reputation, tap like here. Then notice Alara's next reaction. Compassion can become pressure when one woman has suffered this long, and their romance survives only if today's Alara remains free to say no. 1 year, 1 month, and 22 days of introductions. 417 mornings of watching recognition disappear. 416 nights in which Alara had moved closer, asked questions, laughed despite herself, and eventually looked at Valentina as if no one else existed. Then sunrise took the intimacy and left Valentina alone with the evidence. Why haven't you left? Alara asked. Valentina picked up the fallen rose but did not answer. Is it guilt? Obsession? Do you think suffering proves you love me? No. Then explain it. Not before you know what you asked of me. She reached past the cabinet and pressed a hidden catch. A narrow drawer opened. Inside was a sealed envelope in Alara's handwriting. For Valentina. Open only when you are ready to leave me. The wax seal remained unbroken. You could have read it any day, Alara said. It was not written for any day. You said this morning would be our last. Valentina looked at the envelope for a long time. I didn't say it. But yes, at midnight, she intended to open it. At dawn, before Alara forgot her again, Valentina would be gone. The revelation should have brought relief. Instead, panic moved through Alara so violently that her omega scent filled the library with crushed lavender. Valentina reacted at once. Her pupils widened, her body angling forward before discipline forced her still. Tell me to stay, she said. Alara almost did. But a woman without memories could not tell whether that need belonged to love, chemistry, or captivity. So she asked the crueler question. What did I ask of you? Valentina set the envelope between them. To let you meet me without the weight of who I was. For the first time that day, Alara noticed the queen did not say, who I am. At sunset, Alara found Valentina in the glass conservatory, cutting thorns from white roses. The sky had turned the color of old bruises. Music drifted from a gramophone in the corner. A slow piano melody, Alara knew well enough to hum, but could not name. Why white roses? She asked. Valentina's knife paused. The red book had instructed Alara to ask after sunset. She watched the queen choose between truth and protection. Because the first night we met, you told me flowers were only beautiful when they could hurt the hand that held them. That sounds unpleasantly like me. You were holding a gun to my ribs. Were you frightened? Terrified? Alara laughed before she could stop herself. Valentina smiled, and something ancient inside Alara answered. The evening change did not feel like a curtain lifting. It felt like gravity returning. Details that had meant nothing in the morning acquired impossible weight. The precise curve of Valentina's mouth, the way she kept her scarred hand hidden, the restraint in every breath she took near Alara. Not memory. Recognition of another kind. Now that sunset has changed the evidence, choose your standard today. Do you trust what Alara can verify, or what her body begins to feel? Attraction may be sincere, and still unreliable. The harder question is whether consent can remain free, while chemistry, buried history, and fear all point toward the same woman. Valentina placed a thornless rose on the table. At the opera, you hated the soprano. I remember. At the harbor, you saved my life. I remember the bullets. At the cathedral, you asked me to marry you. Alara looked up. I asked you. On one knee, very badly. And what did you say? I said you should ask again, when no one was shooting at us. Did I? The next morning, when it was safe? Valentina's smile faded. Nothing has ever been safe with me. Alara crossed the space between them. Her body knew exactly how close it wanted to stand. Maybe I wasn't asking for safe. Their hands rested inches apart on the table. Then the gramophone needle jumped. The piano stopped. A woman's recorded voice replaced it. Alara's voice. If you found this on day 417, Valentina is finally preparing to leave. Do not stop her until you discover what she has hidden beneath the chapel. Valentina went still. Alara lifted the gramophone needle, but the message had ended. No explanation, only a burst of static and 3 tones descending like a code. You knew about the recording? Alara asked. No. But you know what is under the chapel? Valentina collected the rose knife. Yes. Then take me there. No. It was the first command Valentina had given her all day. Alara felt its force, the alpha authority that made armed people obey, but beneath it lay unmistakable fear. Not fear of what Alara might discover about Valentina, fear of what Alara might discover about herself. Alara blocked the door. You promised me one honest day. I promised you freedom. I promised you freedom. They are not always the same thing. You don't get to protect me with a lie I can already see. For one long second, Queen and scientist faced each other across the last of the sunset. Then Valentina turned the knife and offered Alara the handle. The chapel opens with your blood. The chapel stood beyond the eastern garden, small and unused, its saints removed years ago. Valentina rolled back the rug beneath the altar. A steel door lay embedded in the floor, marked with the same silver moth found on the attacker's transmitter. The story turns here. Whatever waits below can explain why Alara forgets Valentina, but not why she keeps choosing her. One answer is buried beneath the chapel. The other is hidden inside a record even Valentina has never seen. First, they must survive the truth beneath their own home tonight. Alara pressed her thumb to a needle. The lock drank 1 drop of blood. The door opened. A staircase descended into a laboratory preserved in darkness. Frost-clouded glass cabinets, burned files crowded a metal desk. Restraints hung from a reclining chair bolted to the floor. You ordered me to seal it after the first reset, Valentina said. Seeing this room triggered seizures. Alara stopped breathing. She remembered the chair. Not the room, not Valentina, only the pressure of straps at her wrists, and Sabine Rook's voice saying, "Love is merely the address where memory lives." Alara's knees weakened. Valentina did not catch her this time. She lowered herself to the floor nearby and waited until Alara reached for her first. Their fingers locked. The contact did not restore a single scene. It did something more useful. It kept Alara in the present. On the desk sat a black case. Valentina entered a 6-digit combination. How do you know the code? It was our wedding date. The lock rejected it. Valentina's face emptied. Alara tried the date of the Institute fire. Rejected. She looked at the silver moth, recalled the descending tones from the gramophone, and translated them into laboratory calibration values. The case opened. Inside was a scent vial labeled VDL7, a syringe containing dried violet residue, and a projector. Alara activated it. Her own face appeared above the desk, recorded before the resets began. She looked thinner, bruised, and furiously awake. My name is Dr. Alara Wynn. If this protocol activated, Sabine found us. The recording named Project Mnemosyne. Sabine's first protein locks could blur a day, a location, or the source of a trauma while a memory was being rebuilt. Alara had made the weapon more precise. She had taught it to recognize a person. Before the recording could explain how, a red timer ignited beneath the projector. Data purge, 90 seconds. The projector flickered, and half the image vanished. 4 empty rings pulsed across the sensor. Facial geometry, vocal pattern, name association, and pheromone signature. The system wants the original key. Which is me. Which is every way my brain knew you. The timer passed 60 seconds. Valentina uncapped VDL7 and pressed 1 drop into the sensor. 3 rings turned green. The 4th remained dark. Say your name, Alara told her. Valentina De Luca. The ring opened. The locks had not destroyed any memories. They had sealed every pathway tagged by Valentina's face, voice, name, or scent. Anything leading back to the Queen struck a wall. That was why only Valentina disappeared. One answer was finally visible. The lock followed Valentina's identity, not Alara's entire past. But the evidence had not touched the harder mystery. A mechanism could explain forgetting. It could not explain why Alara returned. Sabine had planned to excavate every route, account, ally, and safe house connected to the De Luca Empire from Alara's mind. Under enough stimulation, anyone could be forced to remember. Alara designed the one defense Sabine could not break. At the moment of capture, she injected the VDL7 prototype and locked Valentina inside herself. It should have lasted 48 hours. A second waveform unfolded, an alteration made after Alara's injection. Sabine had added a circadian trigger. Dawn cortisol rebuilt the lock. Evening hormones weakened it. Repeated loss was meant to fracture Alara until the hidden network became reachable. Valentina drove the empty vial into the sensor. The purge stopped with 3 seconds remaining. Sabine had taken an act of protection and engineered it into punishment. The recording looked directly at Valentina. Vale, if you are seeing this, I am sorry. You will think staying makes you selfish. You will be wrong. Give me the truth. Give me a door, and let me decide whether to walk through it. Never ask yesterday's love to obligate tomorrow's woman. Let her choose you, or refuse you as many times as it takes. The image dissolved. Alara released Valentina's hand. You stayed because I asked you to. At first. And after? Valentina glanced at the sealed envelope in her coat. After, I no longer knew whether honoring your request was different from trapping you inside it. So tonight you leave. Tonight I return the choice I may have stolen by being here every morning. Alara wanted to tell her she had stolen nothing, but love spoken in the hour when a drug loosened could sound like evidence against itself. So Alara studied the projector instead. The first mystery was solved. The projector's hidden storage held the second, and its answer could validate their love, or expose 416 nights of manufactured devotion that neither woman had known was being measured. The machine's storage showed 1 file, yet its memory was nearly full. Hidden data occupied the remaining space. Alara replayed the 3 tones from the gramophone. A directory appeared. Night Archive. There were 416 entries. Valentina stared. I have never seen that. I believe you. The first recording opened. Alara sat in the conservatory on night 1, eyes swollen from crying. Clinical note, the recorded Alara said. At 8:12 p.m., my aversion response decreased when Valentina entered. At 9:40, I wanted to touch her. That may be chemistry, conditioning, or love. I refuse to confuse them. Night 12. I tested my response against photographs, voice recordings, and an unscented shirt. Attraction alone is not reliable. But she told me the truth when lying would have kept me calm. I chose to remain. Night 58. Today she gave me the only armored car and stayed behind during an attack. This was reckless, infuriating, and consistent with the woman I would choose. Night 193. I asked her not to kiss me. She stopped before I finished the sentence. Desire did not decide tonight. Trust did. Night 306. I set money, passports, and a clean identity beside the gate. I could leave without being followed. I walked to the train station. Then I came back. Not because my body pulled me, but because life without her felt smaller than the risk of beginning again. Ilara closed her eyes. Every night, without telling Valentina, she had recorded the evidence, not recovered memories. New observations, new judgments, a scientist testing her own heart with ruthless care. And every night, she reached the same conclusion. The mind forgot the woman. The woman did not forget how to choose. Choose one word, memory or choice. The final experiment will remove scent, shared history, and every advantage Valentina has. If Ilara still chooses her, chemistry will no longer be an excuse. Ilara opened the last entry. It had been recorded the previous night. Her image appeared older than the one from night 1. Wiser, perhaps. More afraid. Sabine is inside the house, not physically, through someone we trust. Behind recorded Ilara, a reflection moved in the conservatory glass. A woman wearing silver spectacles stood near the door. Mara. Valentina drew her gun. The laboratory lights died. From above came the toll of the chapel bell, although no rope hung from it. 11 times. Then Mara's voice sounded through the emergency speaker. Do not come upstairs. Sabine has Mrs. Bell, and she wants Ilara alive. Valentina checked the magazine. Sabine never wants anyone alive. She wants them useful. The speaker crackled, and another woman began to applaud. Slowly, delightedly. Still dramatic, Valentina, Sabine Rook said. Bring me my Omega, and I may let you keep remembering her. Ilara looked at the clock on the projector. 11:07 p.m. 52 minutes remained before the time written on the assassin's photograph. The night archive contained one more hidden file. Its title was not a date. It was a command. Play only if Valentina chooses to leave. Ilara reached for it. Valentina caught her wrist. We don't have time. Then why are you afraid to hear it? Before Valentina could answer, gas hissed through the laboratory vents. Valentina tore a sleeve from her shirt and pressed the fabric over Ilara's mouth. Can you walk? Ilara inhaled cautiously. No burning, no dizziness, only absence. The cedar and winter orange scent had vanished from the room. It isn't poison, she said. It's a receptor blanket. Sabine is blocking alpha and omega signals. Valentina understood immediately. The gas was designed to remove the one explanation both of them still distrusted. Without scent, Ilara's body could not calm itself against Valentina's presence. No bond response, no chemical gravity. Sabine wanted to see what remained. Without scent or memory, the final test had begun. Ilara's next decision would expose whether 416 nights had been choice or programming. The laboratory door unlocked. Mara stumbled down the stairs with blood on her collar, followed by Mrs. Bell and 4 masked soldiers. A pistol trembled in Mara's hand, aimed at Valentina. Sabine descended last. She was nearly 60, elegant and silver-haired, with a moth-shaped pin at her throat. The fire had marked one side of her face, but her voice was exactly as Ilara remembered it, warm enough to make cruelty sound reasonable. My brilliant girl, Sabine said. You built a lock so perfect that even you cannot open it. Let them go. Give me the DeLuca ledger. Ilara almost laughed. 400 days, and you still think this is about an account book? Sabine's smile tightened. There was no physical ledger. The information had lived in Ilara's memories of Valentina. Meetings, routes, names, habits, the map of an empire revealed through a marriage. By erasing Valentina, Ilara had erased the path connecting all those facts. Sabine needed the memories unlocked before she could copy them. Sabine held out a syringe. The antidote will restore everything for 6 minutes, long enough to extract the network. Refuse, and the gas becomes permanent. You will lose even the feeling that draws you back to her. Valentina lowered her gun. Take me instead. You have nothing I cannot take with a bullet. I have the authorization codes to every DeLuca account. Sabine glanced at the soldiers. Greed disrupted their formation for half a heartbeat. Valentina used it. She shot the vent control. A metal shutter crashed between Sabine and two soldiers. Mrs. Bell drove her silver tray into a third man's throat. Mara turned her weapon away from Valentina and fired into the lights. Darkness swallowed the room. In the sudden darkness, one unbroken rule mattered. Valentina had never taken Alara's choice. The next few seconds would show whether Alara had learned that rule through love or merely recovered it from memory alone. Alara knew Valentina could see better than she could. She also knew Valentina would move toward the greatest threat. So Alara moved toward Mrs. Bell. A hand caught her hair. Sabine pulled her against the surgical chair and drove the needle toward her neck. Alara twisted. The syringe pierced her shoulder instead. Memory detonated. Valentina beneath cathedral bells. Valentina bleeding at the harbor. Valentina asleep with her scarred hand curled near Alara's heart. Hundreds of mornings Alara had not kept, and hundreds of nights she had built anew, poured through her at once. She remembered why the institute burned. Sabine had locked 12 test subjects inside. Valentina entered the fire because Alara would not abandon them. Together they freed 11. The 12th died in Alara's arms. Sabine whispered against her ear, "Tell me where the queen keeps the names." For 6 minutes, Alara possessed every answer. She also knew the antidote had opened her memories to the extractor built into the chair. "The names are stored in the first place Valentina ever surrendered," Alara said. Sabine leaned closer. "Where?" "To me." Alara slammed her palm onto the calibration switch. The chair read Valentina's scent sample from the open case, followed the false pathway Alara had planted 14 months earlier, and downloaded the contents of Sabine's own remote network instead. Every buyer, every laboratory, every official paid to make people forget. The files transmitted to Mara's tablet and to 3 prosecutors outside DeLuca territory. Sabine screamed and raised her gun. Valentina emerged through the dark, weapon aimed at Sabine's heart. One shot could end it. "Alive," Alara said. Valentina changed her aim and fired into Sabine's wrist. That single movement told Alara more than every restored memory. The Mafia Queen had a clean shot at the woman who tortured her wife for 417 days, and still obeyed one quiet request. The soldiers surrendered when Mara announced that their employer's accounts were exposed. Mrs. Bell bound Sabine to the same chair she had built for others. At 11:58, the chapel fell silent. The 6-minute antidote began to fade. Alara held Valentina's face between her hands. For the first time in more than a year, she remembered their first kiss, their vows, every argument, every morning Valentina had pretended not to be breaking. "I remember you," she said. Valentina covered Alara's hand with hers. "For how long?" They both knew the answer. The clock reached midnight. The restored memories receded like a city seen from a departing train. Alara tried to hold the cathedral bell, the harbor rain, the exact sound of Valentina laughing in bed. One by one, they went dark. But Alara did not release her. Every shared moment has returned, and one dangerous procedure might make it permanent. What would you risk to keep it? Answer with the life you would actually gamble, not the ending you hope for. Alara is about to discover that remembering love and living it are different gifts. Mara examined her before dawn. Sabine's files contained a permanent reversal protocol, but it required destroying the protein lattice while it was attached to Alara's hippocampus. Best case, the targeted memories returned. Worst case, Alara lost every autobiographical memory, or never woke. "What are the odds?" Alara asked. Mara looked away. 38% chance of catastrophic damage. Valentina said nothing. That silence mattered. She did not plead for her marriage back. She did not turn 417 mornings into a claim. She placed the treatment file in Alara's hand and left the choice untouched. Alara deleted the reversal protocol. "You may never remember our life," Valentina said. "Then stop speaking as if our life is over." At 2:16 a.m., they returned to the conservatory. Police loyal to no crime family collected Sabine. Mara carried the night archive away, to expose Project Mnemosyne, after copying it to a drive that belonged only to Alara. Valentina placed the sealed envelope on the table. "It is time," she said. Alara broke the wax. Inside was a letter written before the first reset. "Vale, if I stop choosing you, leave with my blessing. If I fear you, release me. If you must lie to keep me beside you, then whatever we had is already gone. But if I keep returning freely, do not confuse your pain with my prison. You have always believed love means standing between danger and the person you love. Sometimes love means standing where she can find you. Give me an exit, give me the truth, then give me the chance to surprise you." Alara lowered the page. "That is why you didn't leave. It is why I stayed at first," Valentina said. "After that, I stayed because every day you had money, protection, and a road away from me. Every day, you remained. Every night, you chose me without owing me yesterday. And tonight?" Valentina's eyes shone. "Tonight I was leaving, because I thought my hope had become another locked door." Alara opened the final night archive file, the command that could be played only if Valentina chose to go. Yesterday's Alara appeared on the screen. "Vale, if you are watching this, you finally became brave enough to break both our hearts. Very noble. Very foolish." Valentina laughed through her tears. "Do not stay because I once loved you," the recording continued. "Ask today's me. If she says no, go. If she says yes, believe her. You do not need a remembered past to receive present consent." The file ended. Alara turned to Valentina. The scent-blocking gas still dulled every alpha and omega response. No cedar, no lavender, no bond pulling them together. Only two women, exhausted beneath a paling sky. "Valentina De Luca, will you have coffee with me tomorrow?" "You won't know who I am." "Then wear something memorable." "That is not an answer." Alara stepped closer. "Yes, stay." Valentina searched her face for hesitation. Finding none, she asked, "May I kiss you?" "Not because I remembered our first kiss." Alara rested her forehead against Valentina's. "Because I want this one." Their kiss was quiet. No gunfire, no cathedral bells, no miracle cure. It did not restore the past. It promised a future that did not require one. One judgment remains. Was Valentina's staying devotion, or should she have walked away sooner? There is no painless verdict. Her love is more than endurance, and Alara's consent more than fate. At 6:03, sunlight crossed the bedroom. Alara woke beside a woman she did not recognize and reached toward the bedside table. There was no knife. There was a small screen, positioned so Alara could see it before fear could take hold. A video began automatically. Alara appeared on it wearing the clothes from the night before. Behind her, Valentina slept in a chair, giving even the recording privacy. "Good morning," the recorded Alara said. "Your name is Dr. Alara Wynn. You are safe. No one in this room owns your choices. There are passports in the blue drawer, money in the desk, and a car waiting outside. You may use any of them." Alara in the bed listened, breathing slowly. The recording smiled. "If I'm watching this, I've forgotten you again. Please introduce yourself. I would like the chance to choose you one more time." The screen went dark. Across the room, Valentina stood in a black suit with a white rose in her hand. Hope and heartbreak lived together in her eyes, neither one hidden. "My name is Valentina De Luca," she said. "You take your coffee with cinnamon when you're scared. I am your wife, but you do not owe me that word today." Alara studied her. No memories returned. No magical recognition repaired what had been broken. Yet Alara noticed the untouched chair beside the bed, the respectful distance, and the thorns carefully removed from the rose. "Were you planning to sit 14 chairs away at breakfast?" she asked. Valentina's breath caught. "If you preferred." "I don't." This time, the queen moved one chair closer. And that night, Alara chose her again. Alara never recovered her memories permanently. Some wounds did not become beautiful simply because love survived them. But the night archive became a morning message, recorded fresh each day, not to order the next Alara to love, but to protect her right to choose. Valentina stopped counting the mornings. Alara stopped measuring their marriage by what dawn could steal. Sabine had believed identity was only memory. She was wrong. Identity was also the values Alara practiced when no one could remind her. Curiosity over fear, truth over comfort, mercy over revenge, and love offered without debt. So here is the question I want you to answer in the comments. If the person you loved forgot you every morning, but freely chose you again every night, would you stay and keep introducing yourself? Or would loving them mean walking away? There is no easy choice, only the one you would be willing to make again tomorrow.